Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Gio, and this story is called Tears of the Wolf. It's the next installment of the werewolf stories. This one takes place immediately after the previous story. If you haven't heard it, it's called Moon Crazed, but I think this one will stand on its own. It took 2 hours of ringing the Tibetan singing bowl, adjusting the obsidian crystals around him, and placing the large crystal cluster back on his chest when he slept. But Cory's eyes changed from silver to brown, and his hair finally turned from silver to blonde. My boyfriend was a werewolf. We were in the upstairs bedroom at the compound, only hours after our confrontation with the moon-crazed werewolf. It took a long time for Cory to settle down and relax. Cory wasn't just any wolf, but one more vulnerable to the curse of the moon than the others. His wolf was huge and silver and mean. He called it the Silver Wolf. The poison of the moon had finally left Cory's system. Though exhausted, I didn't want to sleep. I hadn't slept in almost 36 hours. Tonight I would, but not right now. My name's Lucas. I'm what's called a mate, or wolf mate. I'm Cory's mate. I'm the only reason Cory can stay sane when the moon turns silver, the wolf term for full moon. They hate it. During the full moon, a werewolf becomes a berserk rage monster. In early January, a full moon can last nearly 14 hours. 14 hours of pure rage. Among our wolf tribe, Cory's the worst. Another member of the tribe, Jack, never loses control. The rest, Edmund, Gavin, Salvador, and Paola, do lose control, but not as bad as Cory. A mate stays awake the 3 nights of the full moon to keep their wolf from turning into a murderer. Generally, it means physical contact. When a mate and their wolf are separated for too long during the full moon, the wolf goes crazy. Wolves that don't have a mate, like Gavin, have to be locked up in cages for the full moon. Cory lay in our bed, wearing only briefs, surrounded by obsidian, jet, and quartz crystals. I took the crystals off of Cory and took them to the back deck to cleanse and charge with the other crystals. According to Steph, Edmund's mate, natural sunlight purifies and fills the crystals with energy. A natural rechargeable battery. I don't pretend to understand how they work. But the crystal absorbed the moon's poison from a wolf, especially an obsidian crystal. When I got back inside, Cory had dressed and kissed me. Thank you. I wanted to trade him places in the bed and sleep for 24 hours. I've been watching over him every full moon for 3 months. Somewhere in there we became best friends and lovers. According to tradition, a wolf mates for life. I think we have, because I never want to be away from him. Cory, Lucas, can you come back here? Steph said. In addition to being Edmund's mate, she's the mom of the tribe. She's also the crystal expert, chakra expert, and aura expert. In her spare time, she became a Reiki master. I don't know how she does what she does, but it works. We walked back to the far bedroom. It's Steph's office. The wolf we rescued yesterday is inside. He's mostly shifted back to human. His mouth still had too many teeth. His face was still elongated in the transformation, and his eyes glowed silver. He was nude, conscious, and handcuffed to the bed. The blankets were clawed, but he held them about himself, though his left leg stuck out. A dozen polished obsidian, quartz, and jet stones surrounded him, and he wore a necklace of polished obsidian. They had bandaged his left leg where the wolf had bitten him. A little blood stained the bandages. Steph reserved this room for her crystal work. She had 2 large crystal clusters on tables near the bed and a giant amethyst geode under the window. A couple wind chimes hung by the window, and she held another Tibetan singing bowl. Every so often, she struck it. She's not alone. Salvador's mate, Anna, is with her, softly chanting something. It wasn't English. She held her right hand, fingers straight, thumb holding the ring finger down, and pointed at the new guy. Her fingers kind of looked like a W. I've suspected she's Wiccan, but she'd never talked about it. She'd been doing for Salvador for years what Steph's been doing for us. Steph and Anna looked about as tired as I felt. They must have been working the crystal magic on the man we rescued and hadn't slept either. "Cory, Lucas," Steph said, "I'd like you to meet Mark, a professional entertainer with the circus and victim of this weekend's werewolf attack. He's been bitten, and the bite patterns don't match any of ours, or even our son, Wesley's." "Hi," Mark mumbled through all the extra teeth. A little blood dribbled from puncture wounds on his lip. Mark was pale, had tear tracks on his cheeks, and his hair was still a little wolf gray. "Moon-cursed," I whispered. "Edmund was right," Cory said. "We have another wolf hunting in our territory." "He and Jack are at Hyde Park sniffing around," Steph said. "What about Gavin, Powell, and Salvador?" Cory asked. "Powell and Salvador are guarding the compound," Anna said. "You'll join them too, Cory, when you're ready. Right now, we need your help. Pull up some chairs." "What do you need?" I asked, taking a seat. "I'll keep this simple," Anna said. "There are 3 ways to become a wolf. The first one is to inherit it." "There are several bloodlines known to pass on the moon curse," Steph said. "Edmund's family line is one. Edmund inherited it from his father, who inherited it from his grandfather, and so on. Our son Wesley inherited it from him. Jack is our nephew. The curse skipped Jack's dad, Edmund's brother, but not Jack. The first full moon after Jack's voice changed, he changed. The same with Wesley." "Are there very many of these families?" I asked. "Not as many," Anna said. "When the hunters find one, they wipe out every member. 10 years ago, they did that to the Knox family. Every wolf, mate, and child were exterminated." "There were rumors that Landon Knox, the son, escaped," Steph said. "If he lived," Anna said, "he'd be 22 or close to it. Can you imagine being alive and remembering the deaths of your entire tribe? It's horrible." "If the hunters knew about us, we'd be their next target," Steph said, "which is why Edmund and Jack are hunting. If any of this makes the news, then we are in danger." "Is that why you wanted us here?" Cory asked. "No. Anna, continue, please." "The second way to become a wolf is through an Old Norse curse, or blessing, depending on how you look at it," Anna said. "The berserker warriors of legend had wolf spirits bound to them. They were great warriors until the full moon hit. Then everyone they knew paid the price for their power." "That's not what we're dealing with," I said. "That brings us to the third way," Steph said. "The curse is passed on by bite." "That's what happened to Mark," I said. Mark tried to say something, but bit his lip. He nodded instead. "Me too," Cory said, rubbing his ribs. "You've never talked about it," I said. "What happened?" "That's why I've asked you here," Steph said. "You were a victim of a wolf attack. Maybe your experience can help Mark understand what he has to deal with." "I don't like thinking about it," Cory nodded and stared out the window. "I know," Steph said, "but I want you to talk about it anyway." I kissed Cory on the cheek and held his hand a moment. "Pretend you're just telling me." "I don't like talking about it or thinking about it. I feel angry and afraid, like I'm useless and weak. I might lose control if I think about it too much," Cory said. "The full moon is over," Steph said. "You're among the tribe, and Lucas is here." "And Steph, just like you ordered, I'm back here in case you need me," Gavin said, "with the trank gun." "Is that necessary?" Steph said. "You've never wrestled with the Silver Wolf," Gavin said. "Clown Boy fought the Silver Wolf. If he hadn't backed down, he'd be dead. Do you remember any of it?" Mark shook his head. "That was a fun fight to watch," Gavin said. "Good thing I had my phone out. I'll show you the video later." "Enough, Gavin," Anna said. "Steph and I both think this might be important. Cory, please." Cory sighed and began. It happened about 6 months ago, my last day as a normal human. I'd gone home for the weekend. Summer semester would start on Monday, and I had a lot to do to get ready for it. Laundry was the first chore. I was meeting some friends later to check out an old anime they had playing at the old Pyramid Cinema. Maybe we'd pick up some girls for them and a guy for me. That seemed so long ago. Steph handed me a piece of obsidian and handed one to Cory. I scooted my chair next to Cory's and rubbed his back with the obsidian. Cory continued, but he didn't look at anybody. Mom was in the kitchen making her usual Friday night pizza. I had texted earlier, saying I would be over, so she made extra. If I had known it would have been my last time at home, I would have given her a hug. But no, I was too busy. Dad had just gotten home from the store. He worked as a manager at Southern Style for Men, a men's clothing store in the mall. I used to be able to buy all kinds of things with Dad's employee discount. I got laundry started and helped Mom roll out the dough. I had an hour or more to kill before I met my friends. So when Mom and I finished, I sat in front of the flat screen with my dad and watched football. I used to play, back in high school, and a little in college. Coach wanted me to try out for the team. My folks thought that was great, but schooling came first with Mom. Mom wanted me to be an accountant. Dad wanted me to go into computer science. I liked sports, so I was thinking physical therapist. Go on, Anna said. Anyway, it's amazing the things you remember, even the smallest details. Mom's pizza was always good. Every time it was different. This time she sprinkled Parmesan on the crust. We had onion, green pepper, and ham on a spicy red sauce. She didn't like a lot of cheese, so it was a light sprinkling. I remember watching the sunlight glimmer through the window and highlighting her hand as the shredded cheese fell. I wish I had never gone out that night. I didn't care about full moons then, but I do now. That was day one of the strawberry full moon, the night my old life died. We ate. I helped Mom with the dishes, kissed her goodbye. The sun had almost reached the horizon. That was the last time I was home. I was meeting my friends at the plaza. It had food courts, stores, an outdoor mall. It was also the best place to scope out potential action. My friends checked out the girls. I checked out the guys. My friends knew I was gay and didn't care. Less competition, one said. We were on this bridge connecting the two sides of the outdoor mall when my friend eyed this girl. Go down and talk to her, I said. She's got all her friends with her, he said. So? If I talk to her, then you go talk to him, my friend said. He pointed at some good-looking college guy drinking it up with his friends. He had the hair, the clothes, and the friends. A girl sat on his lap for a moment. Somebody brought him a drink. Him? He's obviously straight, I said. Go find out, my friend said. I'll meet you back here in 10. You're going to strike out that fast? I said. No, but you will. I stayed on the bridge watching the guy for a moment, as my friend took the nearest stairs and descended into the crowd. Being brave on the football field is easy. Going up to a stranger and making conversation is impossible. My friend could do it so easily. I took the stairs and walked down them, then over to the guy and his friends. I remember thinking, how do I play this? Cool and in control, all casual. He sat with his friends, talking about some movie, I think. He must be one of those rich frat guys who have an easy life, or maybe somebody on some team who is confident, knows what he wants, and lived life how he wanted. A smooth talker who was the life of the group. Completely out of my league. It took me a minute to build up the courage, but I walked over. He said something funny to his friends, and they started laughing. I watched him another moment, then shuffled over and said, Can I buy you some fries? As pickup lines go, it probably ranks as bad as What's Your Sign, baby? It wasn't the best. He stared at me as if I were crazy. Gave me a small smile that quickly vanished. He had kind eyes. I still remember his cologne, something nice, expensive, musky. It's funny what I remembered about that night. I tried to salvage the moment and said, There's a place that makes good fries just down the block. My name's Cory. Another time, Cory, he said. My friend is going to boot camp next week, and this night is for him. I took Cory's hand and gave it a squeeze, because I remembered that night. Another time, Cory said. That was me, I said, wasn't it? I barely remember some guy hitting on me, and then we went back to our party. That was you, wasn't it? Cory nodded. I walked around after I left you guys, finally went up the bridge and waited for my friends. They hadn't struck out. I got a text a few minutes later that said, "Don't wait up." So I was alone, but I didn't want to go home. I walked around a bit. I had just passed an alley when I heard the growl. At first I thought somebody's muffler had gone bad, or maybe a motorcycle misfired. I didn't think anything of it, until I heard it again at the next alley. This time it sounded more like an animal, kind of like a snarl. It couldn't be the same beast, because it would have had to run up a fire escape, across the top of the building, and down another fire escape. Deep down the alley, in the shadows, 2 little silver moons blazed. That was the first time I saw silver eyes. I hurried along the road, and when I got to the next space between buildings, it had gotten there ahead of me, and it snarled again. The eyes were the same. It had gone from alley to alley to alley, and I had never seen it move. I froze. Was it following me? I had to get out of there. Reversing course, I walked back the way I came, but faster. No dog would follow me this long. The street was well lit, the full moon was out, and it was pretty bright. There were a few people around. I looked back. It had crept out of the alley and kept to the shadows, but its eyes gave it away. It followed me, pacing me. It was too big to be a dog. I ran and pulled out my phone. It took only a second to call 911. Gavin clicked the train gun behind us. "There's this animal following me," I said into my phone. I didn't even give the operator a chance to speak. "Where are you?" the emergency operator said. Cory's voice grew soft. His hair took on a silver sheen. I rubbed the obsidian stone across his back. It growled. "Maybe 20 feet away," Cory said. I had the feeling it was hunting me. If I could get to my car, or among people, maybe it would leave me alone. "I want you to get to safety," the operator said. It stepped out of the shadows, eyes glaring silver. I swear it was crying silver tears. It growled again, louder. "Oh my God," the operator said. "Get to safety. I'm linking this call with my supervisor and alerting all units. I need to know your location." I screamed something into the phone and ran. It howled and ran after me, Cory said. I passed a store window and got a glimpse. Silver eyes. A full moon was in the sky. It leaped. I dropped to the ground and it landed ahead of me. I rolled to my feet. The obsidian crystal warmed up in my hand. I glanced at Steph and she nodded. I tucked the obsidian into Cory's hand and massaged his shoulders. "Relax," I said. "I'm here." Mark stared at Cory. He backed away from my boyfriend, eyes wide. Cory's eyes had turned silver. Cory kept talking as if he wasn't aware of anything. It was a huge black wolf with silver eyes and silver tears, and its breath smelled like raw meat, Cory said. It almost seemed to laugh before it jumped at me. Cory's hair turned silver, not silver as in old man's hair, but silver as in metallic silver, the silver of the moon. Steph rang the singing bowl, and Anna began chanting. Its breath was hot. It clawed me and bit me and bit me. I screamed and screamed. It wouldn't stop. It kept biting me and clawing me. Cory's hands clutched mine. His fingernails had started to extend into claws. I didn't have to look behind me to know that Gavin was taking aim. I wrapped an arm around Cory's shoulders. Physical contact kept the wolf calm. Usually. "Don't let the moon win," I whispered. There was a boom, Cory said. His voice dropped to a whisper or a bang. The cops shot at it and it ran off. I don't remember how I got to the hospital. I woke up Saturday morning and my parents were there. My friends too. I had bandages across my arm and neck, and it had clawed my ribs. A second more and I could have been dead. Put the silver wolf back in your soul, Steph said, and placed a polished amethyst crystal in Cory's hand. Remember, you are more powerful than the wolf. Do you still doubt the moon curse now? Anna said to Mark. This is what happened to you last night. Cory, I am sorry, but Mark needed to see, to believe. Finish your story, please. Do you mean I don't get to shoot him? Gavin said. No, Gavin, Steph said patiently. Cory? There isn't much left, Cory said. The doctor stitched me up with a lot of stitches. I look like Frankenstein. They wanted me to stay in the hospital for at least a week. They gave me a rabies shot, an antibiotic shot, a tetanus shot, and something for the pain. I was supposed to go back to college in 2 days, but the doctors vetoed that idea. They gave me a sedative so I would sleep. Then the moon invaded my dreams. It was the worst nightmare I'd ever had. I was alone, drowning in silver. Go on, I said. I woke the next morning in an alley. No clothes, no phone, no money, naked. I didn't even know who I was for a couple of hours. I had pulled out all my stitches and I had blood all over me. I learned later that I hadn't killed anybody, and I vaguely remember searching for a smell, the cologne from the guy I'd seen the other night. Me? I said. My cologne? I was too busy looking for you to go on a rampage, I guess, Cory said. The police found me and took me back to the hospital. Their only explanation was that I must have reacted to the medication and gone berserk, broke the window and jumped down 2 stories. That was the first night I turned into the silver wolf, but I didn't know it then. Later that day I had some visitors, Edmund and Steph, Cory said. They took me with them that afternoon. I've been here at the compound ever since. Most wolves, Steph said, only lose control on the full moon. Cory has yet to gain full control. As you can see, even talking about it can trigger the silver. Mark, you might have been moon-crazed, but I think in time you will learn control. Do your parents know? Mark mumbled through the teeth. Some of the extra teeth had faded back into his gums. Others drew blood from his lip. They do, Cory said, and pulled his shirt off. But nobody else does. Most people think I'm up here convalescing from the wounds. Most of the wounds have faded, except the first bite. Cory raised his arm, and the pale scars of a healed wolf bite showed across his ribs. The wounds were pretty bad, but wolves heal better than humans. The truth is, I don't dare live with anybody, or go back to school, or work. I hoped I could control the silver wolf, but I can't. So I stay here and do chores and help as best I can. Meanwhile, I avoid everybody. The moon is too strong in you, Anna said. I think I know why you wanted to hear the story again, I said. Do you think that the wolf that bit Cory is the same wolf that bit Mark? Has this other wolf been here for 6 months or more? No, Steph said, and glanced at Anna. We've known who bit Cory since we first heard of him. Cory stood, knocking the chair backwards, his eyes blazing silver. You've known and never said anything? Cory growled. Metallic silver fur began to cover his body. Gavin, get the gun ready, Steph said, and stood up. Yes, we've known. We didn't tell you because we wanted to wait until you gained some control. I'm hoping you've got it now. It was a large black wolf, just like Edmund, Cory said, and grew 6 inches. His face began to elongate. Edmund got loose on the full moon and attacked me. He ruined my life. No, Steph shouted. Get control of yourself. It wasn't Edmund. Gavin fired the trank gun. The trank stuck in Cory's shoulder. Cory growled again and pulled the trank out. His bones and muscles popped as they shifted. The skin on his back and chest quivered. and shook as the transformation began. I grabbed Cory, making sure the obsidian was in contact with his skin. "Cory, settle down." "Who was it?" Cory screamed. "I will kill them." "Wolves must not kill," Anna said, "or you'll bring the hunters on us." "That's the moon talking," Steph said. "Who is it?" Cory screamed. A second trank hit Cory's shoulder. Cory swiped it away as if it were a mosquito. Steph stepped forward and took hold of Cory by the shoulders. I hugged him and yelled, "Cory, remember who you are." Steph didn't back down and stared into the silver raging in Cory's eyes. It was our son, Wesley. "Your son did this to me?" With a growl of pure hatred, Cory's bones elongated. He grew 2 feet taller. His muscles shivered across his body. His face elongated. His ears became pointed and moved to the top of his head. His clothes ripped, and silver fur covered his entire body. Large white teeth as long as my finger filled his mouth, and his nails grew into claws. The silver wolf had escaped Cory's soul. Oh my God. The eyes remained silver even after the transformation. The silver wolf's growl rumbled with a hidden fury. Mark screamed and covered his head with his arms. "Get away." "Sweet Mother of God," Gavin said. "We're screwed." Thank you for listening. We'll continue with the story when I write the next part. And we'll see you next time. Peace.